For years, I tried to earn connection by performing, masking, and contorting myself into something that made me more acceptable. It never brought me closer, it only made me lonelier. That's why I started the Social Connection Summit, a free 2-day virtual event happening September 24th and 25th. It's the space I wish I had. A space where you don't have to perform to feel accepted, where you already belong. We'll hear from late identified autistic, AuDHD, and ADHD professionals who lived it, and from leaders and allies who are ready to learn with care, not guilt. These are short talks, real strategies, and honest stories that meet you where you are. We also have giveaways, special bonuses for those who invite others, and full access to replays. So don't sweat it if you can't make it live. Join us at socialconnectionsummit.com. Again, go to socialconnectionsummit.com to sign up today. We'll see you there. Have you ever called someone your friend, but they didn't behave as your friend? Both of you used the same word, but you clearly meant something different. And this mismatch is what hurts your relationships. It's really more common than you think. Let's talk about why that happens and what you can do to get more aligned. Are you ready? Let's go. What's going on? My name is Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast, the podcast for late identified autistic adults who want real relationships without fake masks. Let's talk connection, clarity, and showing up as your authentic self. Now, let's get into this definition of what friendship really is, because I really think that's what keeps people stuck and frustrated with their relationships, because they don't define exactly what actions and behaviors belong with which labels. So friendship, for example, can mean something completely different to you than it does to me. And I'll bet it does, because I have my own definition of friendship and you have your own definition of friendship based on your life experiences and maybe what you've seen on TV. Now, a quick story. I used to believe that friendship was exactly what you saw on the TV show Friends, or better yet, Living Single, because that's the show that I grew up watching. I believe that friendship looked like what they did on Martin, and they did on, what's that other TV show that I really liked? Fresh Prince, where you're able to laugh about the hard things, you're able to make fun of each other, and it just rolls off of people's backs. Like, it's not a big deal to take a little jab here because nobody is, quote, sensitive, right? And so I strive to create those kind of relationships where I would do some of the jabbing and I would be jabbed too, but that never really felt good. But it's also about, what people do for each other, because in those episodes, in those TV shows, they showed genuine care for the other person. They were honest about their feelings, but they show, even if it hurt, even if it hurt the other person, they were honest about those feelings, and they showed that they cared for them in tough times. They were always getting each other's backs, right? They always showed up for each other, and they kept secrets for each other. And I just thought that's what friendship is supposed to be. That's the definition. That's what you do. And I laugh at myself back then because, of course, it's a TV show, but I couldn't tell the difference, I couldn't tell the difference of what it's supposed to look like. So I modeled that, and I thought that's what friendship is supposed to be. But it's not really. Not for me. It doesn't feel good for me. That doesn't hit, right? I like some of the concepts. I like some of the ideas that you were there to support each other and you can joke about things, but I don't like it if you're doing it at my expense. And in a lot of those TV shows, they did that, and I know it's for the comedic relief these days, but they do it at your expense. They do it at my expense, or do it at one of the characters' expense. And as I think about this, as I say this out loud, I'm like, a lot of people have friendships like that too. A lot of people have friendships like that too, where they're just constantly jabbing at each other and they enjoy it. Like, wow, okay, that's the kind of relationship you want. That's what a friend is for you, but it is not for me. And so when we meet people, we don't get clear on what the expectations are of a friend. We don't say, this is what I'm capable of, this is what I want, this is how I'm going to show up for you, and this is what I want you to do to show up for me. We don't say those things out loud because, one, it's weird, I guess. People just don't talk about that, or we're not conditioned to do that. We're just conditioned to believe it. And when they don't do the thing that we want them to do, then and only then we start telling them, well, you didn't do the thing I expected you to do. I think that is not a very thoughtful way of building a relationship with others. It's not a thoughtful way to build friendships. So I'm going to talk about some of the ways we try and we skirt what friendship is. Like we try to put qualifiers on what friendships are and how some people may define them. And then I'm going to tell you about my definition of friendship and how I categorize the different people that I meet and how it keeps me safe. So if you see yourself in any of these friendships that I'm going to talk about, these qualified friendships that I'm going to talk about, great. Maybe reflect on them and see if you want to keep these kinds of relationships in your life. And if you hear what I talk about and you like that and you'd like to learn more about that, feel free to reach out to me. I'll tell you more about my experiences with them and how you can really categorize and group these people so that you feel more safe and to be yourself around the right people. So here we go. I want to talk about these 5 groups that people often categorize their friendships with. The first one is the everyday friend. And you're going to notice that all of these are, quote, friends. There's just some kind of qualifier in front of them because friend is the optimal word here. But the first one is the everyday friend. And that's someone that you see or you talk to regularly and casually. You exchange life updates and you do small favors for each other and you laugh about things. You talk pretty quickly to each other. Like you'll text memes and you'll text back stuff. You'll check in. They'll invite you to events. They do all of these really cool things, and it makes you feel like they are interested in you and they support you and they want to know you and they want to share with you. I have to tell you that this is a really great definition of a friend, period. Really great definition of friend, period. So that's your everyday friend. If you have a lot of those in your life, then wow, that's pretty amazing. I don't know how you have the energy for that because it takes a lot of time and effort on top of your own responsibilities and obligations that you have. So kudos to you. Amazing. The second one is a milestone friend. And this is a friend that you don't talk to often, but they might show up for birthdays. They might show up for crises and major transitions, like you're getting married, you're moving. But they might disappear for several months. They might disappear for several months, but they'll send you a gift or something if you have a breakup or a big win. They might be able to support you, but not super deeply. Like you're probably not going to call this person to cry on their shoulder. You're probably not going to do that because they missed a lot of your life. They only get the updates. And so those are pretty cool people to have in your life. I don't recommend that you not have them in your life. They're nice to be around. They feel like they're going to support you only in big moments. And I think sometimes we forget that and we expect more of these people who only show up every once in a while. The third one is you have your idea friend. I like this idea friend. Is someone you bond with over shared experiences or interests or ideas and creative collaboration. So they're probably somebody that you work really well with, right? They may not be able to support you emotionally, and it's really important that you note that. They don't care about anything that's happening in your life other than what your shared interest is. So this could apply to you playing board games or going to the movies together or being a travel buddy or even being like a person who experiences restaurants and go out and experience restaurants and stuff together. And you can talk about the food and the service and you get along just great. But the moment you talk about the relationship you have with your boyfriend or girlfriend or partner, whoever, and how it's going south, they shut down. They're not interested. Don't tell them that stuff. They're not interested. You forget. And then you get mad at them. Don't get mad at them. Remember, they're the idea friend. They're the hangout buddy. They're the person that you share common interests with. So if they're not dating anybody, they're not interested in that. Even if they are, they don't want to know about your deepest feelings. Remember that. The fourth person is we have the emotional support friend. I like to call these people the therapist friends. It's someone that you process your feelings with and you feel emotionally safe around. They listen to you very deeply. They're like, They remember your triggers and they offer validation. Maybe they'll even help you self-regulate or co-regulation. They'll help you process your feelings. And this is the person that you can only call when you're overwhelmed and they just get you. The thing about this friend, though, is that they are not opening up to you. They're not. They're not opening up to you. You are their patient. You are their patient. Like they are the therapist friend to you, or the emotional support friend, whatever feels more comfortable for you to say. But if you are dumping and sharing your feelings with them, and it's usually negative feelings, it's usually difficult feelings. You don't go to this person for happiness and joy. You just bought a new house or a new car, or you just got a new job, or something fantastic happens in your life. They're not there for that. And the moment you go to them to talk to them about those things, they are going to feel useless because their role is to support you when things are bad. Remember. So you have the expectation and you want to set that up with this friend. Like if you have the expectation that they're going to support you with good things and you notice that they can't or they don't, then it's just good to note what you bring to them, right? The fifth one is the proximity friend. This is someone you're friends with. I don't even like saying friends with, because I have such a difficult time with this one. But it's someone you're friends with because you share space. You go to school together, you work together, you see them often at the train station, you say hi and you might exchange a couple of words, and that's it. I struggle with calling them even a friend, but we like to use the word friend for someone we talk to, just period. So keeping with that, they are your proximity friend because you share space with them in some way, shape, or form. They're warm, they're familiar, you're in a shared setting, but you rarely, if ever, connect outside of it. And I would look at my coworkers for this, these people who you want to keep at arm's length because you don't really want to know more about their life. You barely want to know too much about them and the job that they do, but they are the proximity friend. So you could laugh with them about things outside of the office, like maybe TV shows or movies or something that's in pop culture, but you wouldn't hear from them after you left the job. You just wouldn't. And I think I'm having such a visceral reaction to this proximity friend is because I didn't know the difference when I was working in a corporate job. This guy, he invited me to his place, and for Thanksgiving, he would talk often. He trained me and everything. But after the whole thing, he just disappeared. Like after I left the job, I never heard from him again. I didn't hear from him again. And so I was like, whoa, I thought you were a friend. Oh, I didn't realize that there are different versions and what my expectations are and what will really happen and so forth, you know? So, hey, it is important to note that. You have to have those expectations. And you have to be able to set them out there and notice if they're getting expectations met. And don't get mad at them for not meeting those expectations if you didn't talk about them. And that's the key. It's communication. Are you struggling to reach out without feeling awkward? Then I have a very, very special gift for you. It's called the 333 method, an easy way to reconnect without awkwardness. If you ever feel unsure about what to say, when to say it, or if it's too late to reach out, this will help. It's simple, it's clear, and it's made for people who overthink connection. There's no email required. Just grab it for free at patternofpossibility.com. Click on resources and get your copy. So for me, when I look at people, and this is the part where I start talking about what I've noticed in my own life and how I categorize people in general. And I have 5 different categories for people in general, and they don't all get a label of friend. And even within the friend thing that I'm going to share, I have 5 different types of people. That is your very close connections at the top, your close connections. Your friend is the second. Your acquaintances are the third, associates are the fourth, and strangers are the fifth. Now, I'm going to break all of these down for you real quick. Your close connections are people that you can share your deepest thoughts and secrets with, and that they won't judge you. They're there for you, and you can experience all of your emotions, your range of emotions that is happiness, sadness, joy, anger, fear. You can experience all of that with them. Joy, anger, sadness, fear, the four. You can experience that with them, and they're there. They will hold space for it, and they will even hold space for these emotions when you find that they have transgressed against you. So if you have a problem with them, they're fine to talk about it. They're emotionally intelligent. So those are my close connections. My friends are a level below that, and my friends are people who can do a lot of the same things as the close connections, but they might judge you more often, and they may have trouble taking responsibility for their actions and their behaviors. They may have trouble taking responsibility. So if they hurt me and I bring it up to them, they might say, oh, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal. You need to get over it. And that doesn't happen often because they wouldn't be a friend. But there are a couple of topics that I just can't bring to them. But they're close. They're thinking about me. I think about them. They're emotionally intelligent. We check in with each other. It doesn't have to be super often either. The third kind of relationship that I look at are acquaintances. And those would probably be the proximity friends. Those would probably be the proximity friends that closely related if I were to map that label over. But they are people that I know just because I see them every once in a while in the same, well, not every once in a while, but often in the same places. We just overlap. We just overlap with going to work, going to school. We have a class together. I talk to them. I share things about what's happening in the class or what's happening at work or what's happening at school. And we don't go much deeper. So those are my acquaintances, and they're valuable to have. You don't want to you won't want to have an experience like if you're working or you're at school or you're taking like an art class or something like that where you're just alone. It's really nice to be able to share your experience with someone who gets it because they're right there with you. So they're good to have. They just don't get to be super close. The fourth one are associates. So these associates are people that I get to hang out with. I get to go places with outside of work, outside of school, and I don't see them very often. But let's say there is a Beyonce concert coming up, or there's a comedy show, or there's a farmer's market, and they also like those things, then I'm going to grab them and go with them. Our conversation is usually around those experiences that we're having together, but it's not confined to one space. I might talk to them every once in a while via text, maybe a phone call every once in a while, but I don't see them super often. And when I talk to them, I certainly don't talk to them about the deepest things that are happening in my life. I don't do that because they don't want to hear it. And they miss all the little events that happen to occur to bring up this big experience. So I bought a new car, I bought a new house. I talked to them about the pain and the frustration of trying to find a new car, going through the negotiation of it, and how I had to save so much. I was like, no. If they were closer to me, like a close friend, they would know about these experiences that led me up to the big one. So I don't even talk about the big one. I don't talk about it with them. The last one are strangers. This is like most of the people in the world, to you, to me, are strangers. These are people that I just do not know. I may know of them because I've seen them. I have met them, but I don't talk to them. I don't know anything about who they really are and how they're going to treat me. I don't. And so most of the people will be that way. And that I don't spend time with those people either. So those are the five, and I like to categorize these five. That's your close connections at the top. That's your friends at the second. That's your acquaintances next, third, and that's your associates fourth, and then finally your strangers. I like to categorize these people based on their behaviors, and I do this internal categorization. It's all internal for the most part, unless I'm like actually sitting down and talking to you. But nobody wants to be called an associate. Like, I've found that we'd rather use these labels and say you're my friend, you're my emotional support friend, instead of calling you an associate, because it doesn't feel good. I'm learning this, and many people don't like to be labeled as an associate instead of a friend. A friend just sounds closer and cozier, and so I use that language because I want people to understand the world the way I understand it, yes, but I also want to make sure I understand them the way they understand it. So I could force a label and say, you're my associate, you're not my friend. I think a lot of people would take that and feel like it's rude. So I just say, here's a qualifying label, and you're a friend. You're my emotional support friend. You're the proximity friend. You're my idea friend, my ideal buddy. Some people don't even use the qualifier. They just say friend. You know, we're for friends. We don't talk that often, but we're good friends. Okay, great. I'm asking you to look at the actions and behaviors of the people that you have in front of you. I'm asking you to do this internally and look at where you want them to be in your life, or based on their actions and behaviors. Where are they really? Where are they really? And the next time you open your mouth to say that this is my friend, and you're saying it out loud for other people to hear, but know internally that what you actually mean is that it's a person that's going to show up for you only when you have something big problem happening in your life. And that's all it is. You put any other expectations out there, then you're going to get, you're going to be disappointed. You'll be disappointed. So that's what I use to keep myself safe. I internally categorize, and then I put the label on myself, and I don't expect anything from them that they already haven't delivered. Now, this is a little bit of a bonus, because a lot of people ask me, well, how can I move these relationships, these proximity friends, or the emotional support friend, the idea friend, the milestone friend, the everyday friend, to a closer kind of relationship? Because they all might look like you want something more from them. Well, it starts with intentional conversation. You have to open up the conversation to move in that direction, so you can say, hey, these are the things that I'd really like from you. Would you also like to do them? And what do you expect from me? It's opening up that conversation. It doesn't sound exactly like that, but it starts with revealing more of yourself. If you want to learn more about this, reach out to me. I talk about this as strategic vulnerability. I also have a video on my website that you can watch. 7 minutes will change your life. Check it out. All right. If this episode resonated with you, the best way to support the podcast is to rate and review it. Your words will help other late diagnosed autistic adults find this space to know that they're not alone. Just a few seconds from you can open up the door for someone else to feel seen. Hey, I appreciate you, and thanks for being here.